Aloha. Welcome to my TED Talk. I guess that's what this is. My name is Will. I'm an SOSer. Some of y'all actually might be in my flock, which is super exciting. My pronouns are he, him, and his. I'm a second-year student majoring in political science and geography. I'm from Davis, California, where I actually am right now. Today, I'm going to be taking you through a day in my life as a college student at the University of Oregon, telling you some tips and tricks that maybe your SOSer hasn't shared with you, and maybe you'll learn something, maybe you won't, maybe it'll just be a fun video that you get to watch. So congratulations if you're here, because you get to spend the next several minutes with me, which is super exciting, super fun. Typically, on my days, I start my day off, of course, in the residence hall. I lived in Justice Bean West. Shout out to all of y'all who are going to be living there next year. I loved it. It was beautiful. Some fun facts about Bean. It's actually one of the few residence halls that has a 24/7 kitchen for its residents, which is super cool. I love to cook, so I actually got my own sets of pots and pans and use it down there. Just as an FYI, a lot of times people just leave their dirty dishes in the sink, so you might want to get your own pots and pans because they can get kind of gross, just as an FYI. But in addition to that, they also have, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different flat screens, if I'm not mistaken, which is kind of crazy in all the different common rooms. I wake up at 5:30 in Justice Bean, which is super early for those of you who like to sleep in. I like to sleep in too, but I had to do that because I am on the crew team. So I'd wake up at Justice Bean, I'd walk across the hallway, and I would use the bathroom super quickly, then head over to crew practice. One of the fun things I got to walk past is Hayward Field, which y'all are super lucky because you don't have to live through construction. I had to walk through the construction every single morning. I used to wave to all of the construction workers. I'm pretty sure they knew me by the end of the winter quarter because I had walked by there literally every morning. One time the crew team literally did the calisthenics with the construction workers.
Threw our sweaters there. You're welcome.
Bro, I don't even know my bag.
I walked to MacArthur Court, which is where I practice. It's on the backside of the Student Recreation Center. I would go in there, I would erg for 2 hours and do some core and things like that. And then I would head back to my residence hall. But first, I would always stop to get dining. So by this time, we finished crew practice at about 8 in the morning. So typically people don't even like getting up for 8 a.m.s, but I was already done with a 2-hour workout by the time that people were going to their 8 a.m.s, which is kind of funny. But I would go into the dining halls, which were almost never busy at all during this time because it was so early in the morning. But I don't want to tell you about that. I actually filmed a part of this at the University of Oregon. So I'm going to throw it over to Past Will, who talked about those at Living Learning Center North. Alright, so right now we're sitting outside of Duck's Bistro in Living Learning Center North, or LLC. This is probably my favorite place to eat when we are on campus, and every morning after crew, I'd come here and I'd get a super deck. That was my favorite smoothie that they had here, but also their sandwiches and their salads were delicious. I just want to take this kind of moment to go over all the different dining options at the University of Oregon. So first off, you've got the pasta place in GSH, delicious. They've also got sushi, a deli counter, a make-your-own rice bowl, which is really fun. There's also a cafe over there. In Hamilton, typically students call it just Hammy. They have a ton of different options as well. It's probably the largest dining hall on campus. They've got Big Mouth Burrito. They've got Fire and Spice Grill, Common Grounds Cafe. I'd highly recommend their acai bowls, whammies, and the chicken pesto sandwich is delicious. And then finally, they have the Fresh Marketplace over there as well. And then you've also got Barnhart Dining, where they have a cafe, in addition to the Barnhart Brunch. I'd highly recommend going to Barnhart to eat brunch on Sundays, and pay attention to all of the different Carson specials, because those are definitely a lot of fun to go to, especially on Chinese New Year for their Thanksgiving feast in November. Both are delicious. I'd highly recommend it, but get there early because it does get very chaotic. Of course, the last food that I want to mention is the Cheesy Griller. Typically is students' favorite dish on campus. Thank you, Past Will, for explaining all the different dining options. Shout out to University Dining for providing that cheesy griller montage. I have watched that too many times to count to just like procrastinate on work. But yeah, anyway, so after I get food, typically it's around 10 a.m. Sometimes I'll like take a nap before there too, and I'll head over to class. What I want to talk about is my first ever class. It was in Grillinger Hall, which, fun fact, is probably the most confusing building on campus. It's divided into two different kind of sections in addition to the Grillinger Annex, so it is kind of confusing to like walk around, but I'd highly recommend going onto the UOrgan app and checking out the interactive maps, because that's a great way to start learning your way around campus. Also, the University of Oregon is a really old campus, which means that it has a lot of cool buildings. And even if you're not into architecture or that sort of thing, just walk around, explore. You will find new study spaces and new places that you can go that you didn't know about before. My first class was in Grillinger Hall. That was Intro to International Relations, PS 205. That was definitely a fun class, and I highly encourage every single person to honestly take at least one in-person class if you're comfortable with it, just because it's a great way to learn about the University of Oregon campus and learn what a college classroom looks like and feels like, because it definitely does feel a little bit different when things are online. After I'd finish up class in Grillinger Hall or wherever I might have been, I would walk over either to the EMU or I would go study in Willamette Hall or the Hedco Education Center were probably my two favorite places to go. But anyway, after I study, or sometimes before I study, I'll go out onto the EMU lawn typically and hang out with all my friends. The EMU is kind of like the heart of campus. It's where all students meet up. It's where you can hang out. It's where you can get lunch that isn't in the dining hall if you ever want that. So I'd highly recommend going there. Also, some fun facts about the EMU. It's how I met some of the other SOSers, actually. Shout out to SOSer Riley Farrell. I met him playing spike ball, and it was a ton of fun. I'd highly recommend it. In addition to that, people picnic out there all the time. They'll hammock. Sometimes they hang up a slackline in between some trees. It's a ton of fun. If you ever want something to do, go out there with your friends on a nice day. It's lovely. So that's what I typically do in my afternoon. I'd go back to my residence hall, maybe get some dinner, and then I'd go to one of the many events that happen at night throughout the week. So RAs have to put on different events for their residence hall students. One of the things that I love to do is actually go to Bachelor Night Tuesdays, which I did kind of reluctantly, but I got weirdly into The Bachelor during last winter, just because all my friends went to it, a ton of people went to it, and it was a ton of fun every time. Shout out actually to SOSer Nate. He put on those events in my residence hall, which was super cool, super fun. That's been my day in the life. That was my typical like Tuesday or Wednesday at the University of Oregon. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you're in my flocks, I will see you later this week and in future weeks for our flock meets. And if you're not in our flocks, feel free to say hi when you see me on campus. I'm a student just like y'all, so just come say hi, say sorry that you had to get up this morning at 5:30 to get to crew practice. But yeah, that's been my day in the life. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see everyone when you arrive on campus in the fall. I look forward to it. Peace out. Alright, that was fun. I need to like take off this shirt now. Fun fact, this microphone that I'm holding, this miniature microphone, I use it in all my flock meetings. It's actually not plugged into anything.